here, and then we're going to go live. It is now 2 o'clock.
Yep.
2 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. Time to
Yep.
roll with the Kong Family Show, special edition. Good afternoon, kids. How the heck is everybody out there? Awesome. I hope you guys are all having a great Thursday afternoon. We, of course, here at the Kong Family, we're having a great afternoon. Every day is a great day around this joint because, you know, that's the cool thing about being a serial entrepreneur. Every day is just another awesome day in the neighborhood. And so, you know, half the time I lose track of what day of the week it is. So it makes for a lot of fun. But hey, guys, you know, we're going to get right to it because I'm sure everybody's got a lot to do today, and so do we. So we're going to get through this. We are the Kong Family. And we, as everybody knows that has seen us before, they know that we have this really simple goal. We just want to change the world. And there's a lot of people who might think that's kind of crazy, kind of an unobtainable goal, but we beg to differ because we're actually watching it happen, making it happen every single day. And it's quite exciting to be part of. And, you know, as my good buddy Sean Wetzel would say, how we are changing the world is one glass of hydrogen-rich, oxygen saturated, incredibly hydrating 9.5 at a time, baby. And one awesome guest, one awesome show, one amazing family at a time. And so with all that, today we have a special guest coming to you from I think the great Northeast somewhere up there in the Bostonian area, if I'm correct, Mr. Nichols. And so yeah, I got to meet Chris through sharing some information of his about cleaning the K8 machine. And we got hooked up and decided that we could get him on the show and hear his story. And so, yeah, I'm real excited to hear your story, Chris. How the heck are you today? How's things back there in Massachusetts?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Today was just a busy day. I mean, some days with the weather lately, we've been getting some heat waves and then cool downs. Yesterday, it kind of stormed for a couple hours or whatever. So it's sometimes you just don't know what you're going to expect lately. So.
Yeah, well, you know, that's the beautiful thing. If every day were always the same, it'd get kind of boring, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it could.
Awesome, man. Well, Chris, thank you so much for taking your precious time to join in and share a little magic, a little love with the Kong family. And I'm going to get right to it. I love to know, this is always my favorite question, my first question, because I'm always curious about 3 things to start with. Actually, 4 things. How, when, and why did you get involved with the Kangen family? And were you a skeptic like I was?
I mean, to be honest with you, this is pretty funny to begin. When I first got introduced to this Kangen Water, when a guy who I used to play pickup hockey with, but ended up moving back to his home state or whatever, New York, when he first mentioned this to me, right, I thought it was another one of those reverse osmosis or just something that I see in the ordinary, right? And he said, like, no, this is something called the water ionizer machine. And I'm like, excuse me? And so, and once he said that to me and then, you know, took the time to take a look at it. And once I saw it for the very first time, I'm saying to myself, okay, this is something different. This is something that you can physically see. It's not like underneath your sink or really anything like that. And so, and once I saw the ionizer machine and the fact that, you know, you plug it into the outlet or something, I'm like, okay, this is different. This is not like a reverse osmosis or just a filter thing. And so, and yeah, I mean, you know, of course, ionizer machines, I had never heard of it before this was introduced to me. And it's just, I allowed myself to just take the time and just research it a little bit and whatever and this and that. And once I discovered that this was Japanese technology, I'm like, okay, so if this was produced in Japan, this has got to be legit because practically the technology world or whatever is made, a lot of it's made in Japan. And so, and I'm just like, okay, so this seems legit. And once I heard about it was in the hospitals, and pretty much, with the original machines, they were the size of something that you had to fit in your backyard. And once I took the time and the audacity to learn more about it and took full understanding of what this could do, I was saying to myself, okay, I could definitely see that this is going to reduce the amount of spending and time to go to the store and buy water. Because the funny thing was, I think I used to spend about 50 to 60 bucks a week on water. That was buying, the wholesale or the grocery, and then habits of making pit stops to the convenience store. And so once I kind of like did the math and calculated whatever, I mean, yeah, I was a little worried about the price at first since I got the K8 machine. And, but just once I allowed myself to dive in more and took consideration and to understand about the term long-term longevity, which that never got into my head in the first place. But once I allowed it to, I saw the picture like, okay, I can see this thing really being beneficial as time goes by, big time. And once I took the consideration into learning about how you can use this machine in so many different ways, pertaining to skin, your foods, even household cleaning or whatever. Once I saw that and took the time to consider why that over your typical chemical cleaners or whatever it may be, I'm saying to myself, okay, this. So with the fact that you add a solution to this machine and with an electric charge that can make the microcluster 11.5 strong alkaline and then the 2.5 strong acidic germ bacteria killer, I'm saying to myself, okay, so this is definitely like a mega trend. Like this is something that can eliminate the unnecessary extra spending for the typical whatever you want to say, from bottled water to cleaners. And I kind of giggled about the whole skin toner thing. Like I thought the skin toner was basically just about women. But once I decided to take into consideration and looking at it, and I'm saying to myself, you know what it is? It's just men are not into buying skin toners, or a huge percentage of them are not, because they have their little opinion about it, whatever. And so I'm saying to myself, nice fresh skin and this and that, and this, especially for what the water can do. And I'm saying to myself, all right, so I take it that the beauty skin tone water will rinse my skin better than your tap water or whatever when you wash your hands, or, I mean, as much as we have the Anespa unit, but, and once I allowed myself to really take the consideration, I went ahead and made the purchase. And the fact that there was a business opportunity, like I will tell you, I thought the business plan thing was almost like your typical MLM pyramid scheme or whatever, but I'm not like a quick learner here and there. But once I took the extra time to just understand how the Enagic pay system works and just, looked at the whole thing close and carefully, I think it took me a couple weeks to understand how the pay works and how the system works. Once I just allowed myself to understand it, I'm saying to myself, oh, all right, this is completely different. It's not that typical you recruit and you just build numbers and that's it. I'm like, all right, at least this is not like the other thing or whatever, since it's a 8-point system, since I never heard of an 8-point system. So, and this was definitely different. Because I mean, with a lot of online businesses, since Enagic has the 8-point system, other online businesses like the Amazon, Shopify, giant retail affiliates or protein supplementation companies, I know their pay is usually you get paid a percentage per month of what you sell. But of course, with Enagic, you get paid when you make when a sale happens. And so I felt a lot more comfortable after understanding it better, because I kind of tried to rush it to understand. And so I felt a little nervous about that business part. And so once I got my machine, I just started drinking the water immediately. And I will tell you, like, it was a weird adjustment when you went, when you used to drink like the plastic bottle water or whatever other water brand, and you're drinking the Kangen water. Like, even like my first, going into the first month of drinking it, for some odd reason, I was just saying to myself, like, I'm not feeling nothing or this and that or blah, blah, blah. But then I decided, you know what? Let's just drink a bottle of water and let's see what happens. And so 30 days later, I drank a bottle of water. Then I really noticed the difference. And I'm saying to myself, okay, so this is why this is called electrolyzed reduced water. This is alkalized water, not alkaline. And I will tell you, like, I was able to taste the plastics and like just how heavy the ball of water was. I'm like, okay, no more of that.
You know, Chris, I love what you said. I think it's an interesting concept that I want to delve into just a little bit more, because I think there's a lot of people out there who simply, you know, for whatever their reasons are, they won't do this. And what the key is, and this is just something that sparked my little brain cell. You know, I only have one brain cell. Most everybody else has trillions of them. I only have one. But
I don't even know if
but you know, what you just said sparked it. And you said, I allowed myself to take a look.
Yeah.
What I want to ask you, what was it that made you decide to allow yourself to actually take a look? Because there's a lot of people out there. I know that I'm still dealing with a lot of people. Most of these people are the people that are closest to me. They're the ones who won't look, who will not allow themselves to look. What was it that made you decide that you should actually allow yourself to look?
I think the reason being was to, you know, cut your budget in areas. And if something like that was able to be considerable, then sure. I mean, you know, because I mean, I kind of like thought it over and looked at, okay, so this is the cost of this. But, and typically if I'm purchasing ball water, I'm purchasing cleaners. And of course, another big one, pesticides in the foods or whatever. I mean, that's not good for the health. So I'm like, so, I mean, I don't want to be consuming pesticides no more as well. So, I mean, I really felt like just expanding my mind and just allow, you know, the whole allowing the part, you know, once I realized what I was spending previous, I'm like, you know what, long-term longevity, what's going to happen in years to come. So I kind of feel like if you just look at the long term, you know, you could definitely be good to go. I mean, even if there was not a business opportunity within a Magic, I feel like I've already got my money's worth for how I've used this in so many different ways.
And how long has it been that how long have you been involved with the Magic?
I believe somewhere around 2.5 to 3 years or something like that. But the funny thing is, I don't know why I think this. I almost feel like I've been drinking Kangen water for 5 years, even though it's only been 2.5 or 3 years. Just something about it. Like, but I will say this, like, even about a month ago, I did another video filming for the bottle of waters or whatever, right? I forgot that feeling about what it was like purchasing water. Like, you know, it just, like, since, you know, I'm used to just having my machine in my place, filling up my water that I need, you know, whenever. And the fact that, you know, buying the ball of water just to do the water testing to update a newer video that I'm almost done editing, you know, it felt weird buying water. But obviously if I wasn't going to do the video demonstration thing, then I would have not needed to. And I'm saying to myself, like, these people that are buying ball of water, like, I'm not sure how long they can go doing that, because even, like, I've said this to some people, like, I feel, as much as I don't want to think about getting old, like, all I know is, like, 20 years later, I will fully forget about purchasing, you know, what it was like purchasing water or whatever and this and that. But, you know, it's just a lot. I feel like just thinking about the long term and just, you know, tying it to solutions like what you're doing here. Okay, we can eliminate that because of X, Y, and Z. So
That's an interesting concept. You know, I think you might be the first person who's ever mentioned that they actually looked at it as a cost saving mechanism for the future.
yeah,
Because we all know that it is indeed that. I know that, like, for me myself, I haven't bought laundry detergent in 2.5 years,
Yeah,
and
that too.
we'll never have to buy it again. And
Yeah.
for, for a family that maybe has 4 or 5 kids or something like that,
Oh yeah.
I would imagine that that would be a tremendous amount of savings because
Oh yeah.
I never really bought the laundry detergent. My wife did because she
Right.
works in a grocery store, but so I never had any idea how much laundry detergent was. But I just
Yeah.
recently found out that it's pretty expensive.
Oh, it is. Yeah. I mean,
And so
depends
you're
on what it is you want.
Yeah, and you're the first person I think that has brought that, looked at it from that concept. I think that's
Yeah.
pretty impressive. So you've been in it about 2.5 years or so. That's about how long I've been in it, as a matter of fact. And when I got involved with it, I just got involved because it made sense for my health, and it
Yeah.
was, and part of the reason why I do what I do here is because it wasn't cost savings, it wasn't future savings, it wasn't any of the technical data, it wasn't that it was made in Japan, it wasn't that it was an ionizer. I didn't even know that in the
Yeah.
first place because I just thought it was stupid. I thought water's water. This is just stupid. My buddy Tim McGaffin was posting about it, and I just thought, this is so stupid. I can't believe you're posting about this stuff. But the thing is I didn't ever say anything. I never like commented, oh, this is
Right.
stupid,
Right.
anything like that, because I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
And I'm the kind of person that if I don't know anything, I'm certainly not going to be opening up my pie hole and blurting
Yeah.
out anything when I know nothing. And
Yeah.
what ended up happening is a beautiful angel named Brittany Dykes. She actually shared her story one day on Facebook, just in a written format.
Mm.
And for the first time, I actually clicked that see more button and I read her entire story. And at the end of reading that story, I went, wow, I need to get a hold of Tim. I called Tim up, said, dude, next time you're up here in Salt Lake, bring me some information about this Kangen water, and the rest
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
history, and so that's part of the reason why my goal around here is to share stories, be those stories, uh, physical stories, health stories, business stories, whatever. And so that kind of brings me into the next part of my question, and that is that, you've now been drinking the water for a couple, 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Do you have any stories of your own that are things that have how has it changed your life other than on a financial level as far as saving you money and that kind of thing? How has it helped you in regards to like your own health, to maybe your someone in your family or someone really close to you, that kind of thing? Have you had anything like that that's happened that's really turned your head and made you go, wow, man, amazing?
Um. Well, before the funny thing was before Kangen Water was introduced to me, I used to be someone that didn't live a healthy lifestyle, and the funny thing was it was from like 2011 up until February 8th of 2014. I used to eat like junk food from like the fast food convenience stores 1 to 3 times a day, 5 to 7 days a week, and also drinking the energy drinks and the sodas. And I just was not heading into a direction. And the funny thing was, what got me to change my health in the first place, before Kangen Water, a couple of years later after I made the transformation, like I was playing pickup hockey or whatever, and it was a competitive level, and I was just slow and out of shape, and it just couldn't keep up or whatever. But then the funny thing was just it started to get me to change late January of 2014, and I need to figure out what to do. I mean, I was basically to lose the weight. I mean, I remember, your basic cardio or whatever. And since I wanted to compete with those guys in hockey, I'm saying to myself, like, I need to learn about like workouts pertaining to hockey or whatever. And so once I had to figure everything about my full plan, then I went on board and did whatever for that. And I just remembered like February 8th of 2014 was the day I had to say goodbye to the fast food stuff or whatever, because if I hadn't made that change, there's no way I'd be drinking Kangen water today. The person that introduced this water to me would have never did that if I still had my old bad health habits. So, but I will say with the Kangen water, like I'm amazed with how like you would never think like with the fruits and the vegetables with the pesticides in there, and then whatever cooking you're doing using the Kangen water instead of your tap water. Like when I actually decided to taste test, the fruits and vegetables that were rinsed with the Kangen water, and then the other side not rinsed with the Kangen water. And once I taste tested that, I'm saying to myself, yeah, there's no way I'm going eating the old way like I used to or whatever. And the funny thing is, even like I don't even want to go to restaurants that much because they don't really have the Kangen water ionizer machine. But I mean, if I were to eat out once in a blue moon, or if I'm out of state, I would go to like maybe a Chipotle place, but just not order the vegetables. I would just get the rice, chicken, and risk a little beans or whatever. But that's just it. But I know with fruits and vegetables, I will not eat those out at any other place unless they have Kangen water. And I will tell you, I don't know if you've done this experiment before, but the pasta, right? I clean the pasta with the 2.5 and the 11.5, and after those are cleaned out, I use the skin tone beauty water to boil the pasta. And after that pasta is done, it's almost like the pasta is buttered up, even with there not being any butter. And I'm just saying to myself, like, wait a minute, I didn't put no butter in this thing. Like, and once I, read the directions are, using the skin tone beauty water to bring out the flavor and the taste of the pasta. And I'm saying to myself, wow, so the skin toner really, since it, it cleans and shines the skin, I'm like, wow, it does something to the pasta.
I love that. I've heard rumors about using the beauty water for pasta, and I've honestly never bought into it. I always use the 9.5 because I figure I want the extra antioxidants. But
right.
Maybe I'm gonna have to give it a try sometime and see what I think.
Yeah, even like I'll make my own pasta sauce, but with the boiling pasta, I'll use the 9.5 or the 9.0 pH water after the pasta's cooked. And if I want to make a marinara pasta sauce homemade, then I'll add that pasta water in, but I won't do it with the skin tone beauty water.
So you just cook the pasta itself when you're boiling the pasta. You do that in the beauty water.
Yep.
You use the 9.0 or the 9.5 to actually make the sauce.
Yeah.
So you get that extra antioxidant power in the sauce.
Yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is, I don't even want to. I know sometimes when people make their pasta sauce, they add like some sort of oil product, like olive oil or vegetable oil or canola oil. The funny thing is, like, I don't even want any of those oils. Like, I don't even have Italian dressing no more, the balsamics, because it's just the way that oil is. So let's share a little value with the kids today. Go through what your exact process is, if you wouldn't mind, for how you actually boil your pasta. What do? You start at the beginning and you put it in the 2.5 first, and then the 11.5, and then. So why don't you tell us what you do? Yeah. So before I begin to cook the pasta, I'll put it in the 2.5 strong acidic water, just to allow like any germs or disinfects to be killed in the pasta. Because sometimes I guess they say like when they grow pasta, they put, other than there being pesticides or insecticides in the pasta, they happen to say like they put some sort of like, there could be some sort of germ thing or whatever in the pasta. So, and once I allow that to go by for about like 5 or 10 minutes or whatever, I'll pick up the pasta out of the 2.5 bowl, just get the remaining excess water off, and then throw it in the 11.5 for about 5-10 minutes. And on both ends of the 2.5 and the 11.5, the colors of that water does change. So, and I kind of feel like too, even how those two waters cleans up the pasta, I kind of feel like the digestion part, that allows for the pasta to digest you better.
And then after you've now cleaned it with, you've disinfected it with the 2.5, and then you've massive antioxidant and cleaned anything maybe that might still be on there that's oil based. And then now you take it and boil it in the actual beauty water, in the 6.0 beauty water.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And well, that sounds like something fun to try. I'm going to have to give that a shot. All you kids out there listening to this, maybe you guys might want to give that a shot too. And so, yeah, that's wonderful to know. And, for this next area, I want to just ask you, because once again, for me, the big side of this company and what we're trying to do here is just get stories out there. And I want people to understand that when we're talking about stories that have to do with health, we have to make it very clear, because we don't want to get ourselves in trouble. We don't want to get Enagic in trouble with the Fraud and Death Administration. And so we need to make sure that we clarify beforehand that whatever it is we're talking about here, the Kangen water is not a cure to anything. It's not a miracle. It's not magic. It's simply a tool. It is literally the tool that the human body, this thing right here, this is the magic. This is the miracle. This is the cure. This is the thing that cures it all. And it's amazing what this thing will do if it gets what it needs. And that's what we know, is that Kangen water simply provides the largest percentage of what this needs to be able to do its job. And so it's very important for us to point that out. It's kind of a caveat that we have to mention before we mention any of these kinds of things. But I've seen so many crazy things. My buddy Steely Dan, that he's going to be coming on this show here in the near future, but he's 74 years old. He's had either 3 or 4 heart surgeries. He's got 1 lung. He's got 1 kidney. He's got all kinds of issues, on all kinds of medications. And he drank the water for about a week. And he called me up one day, just all excited as all get out. And he says, "Jay, 118 over 80. And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" It didn't resonate with my brain cell. And then he goes, "My blood pressure." He goes, "I can't remember my blood pressure ever, my whole life being that low and being that good." And he was excited as all get out. And that's the kind of thing that makes me excited. And I told him, "Hey, I told you that's the way it was going to be, because that's what happens. That's what your body does. It turns itself around. It fixes itself. It does that kind of thing." And so just, you don't have to get anything specific, but if you've seen anything over the last couple of years that has really just kind of, really, really amped you up and said, "Wow, that's what makes this so special. That's why I'm so happy to be involved with this, because it really and truly does change people's lives." What kind of things have you seen over the last couple of years that might wake somebody up out there?
Me personally, I haven't dealt with anyone that's had any sort of like cancer process going on or whatever. But of course, I know one of the important things, like, you make sure you don't make claims. I mean, obviously the important thing is obviously if you're not making good health choices, your health benefits won't be long and lasting if you choose to not make good health choices. So, I mean, that's definitely the important thing. I mean, there could be a couple knuckleheads that might misinterpret some things, thinking, "Oh, if I'm drinking the water and I'm eating junk food, my health benefits will still be good, even if I eat junk and I'm drinking the water." It's like, no, the whole idea is to avoid the junk side and make better, healthier choices. Yeah. So, but I will tell you, the funny thing was, this happened to me in December 2017. I happened to have like some sort of little infection thing or something on my arm or whatever. And the funny thing was, I did the process for about 3 weeks. First, I rinsed it in the 2.5 strong acidic water. And then after that, the 11.5 strong alkaline, and then the skin tone beauty water at least 2 to 3 times a day, and hydrated with the Kangen water. And I'll have to show you the pictures of it sometime. 3 weeks later, what was rough area, whatever, gone, because I followed up the process of using the three types of waters from the Kangen, and keep it hydrated with with the drinking water, and then and just avoiding harmful things out there too, to speed the process up. So
Awesome. Yeah, that's that's another one of those things that this your body can do just amazing things when it gets what it needs, and that's basically what you were doing, is giving it what it needed so it could. Because the truth is most of those skin issues, between things like psoriasis or eczema or something, sounds to me like you probably had like a light case of eczema or something like that needed some help, and that's basically your skin is basically oxidizing, and so once you start giving it the antioxidants and the hydration that it needs, then it goes ahead and fixes those issues. And so that's something that we've heard quite a few stories about, of people that have had skin problems that have cleared up when you started utilizing this water. And so that's wonderful. I'm really happy to hear that. And I think it's wonderful that you were open-minded enough to allow yourself, I love that, to actually take a look. There's so many people out there that they won't allow themselves to take a look. I know. And
I think it's the small thinking or something going on with them.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of people in this world, unfortunately, who already know everything, and they don't have anything else to know. And especially people that have been involved with the water business, if they've been involved with selling water filtration or something like that. Usually those people are the most stubborn, because they just figure water's water. And like I had one guy, I told him that water's poison, and he said, well, I'm not sure I'd call it poison. And I said, well, that's fine, but that's what I call it, because that's what it is. And he said, well, it's the universal solvent. And I'm like, well, if it's the universal solvent and it's literally a solvent that eats through things, what do you think it's doing to your body?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, obviously, since you mentioned about that, it's like with the rainwater, right? You leave a metal tool outside and it's raining and pouring. The next day, that metal tool is going to oxidize and turn into rust, because that rainwater is so acidic. And as you know, I mean, obviously municipals they add stuff into the to the water, because obviously the plumbing pipes will corrode. So. Yeah.
Amen, brother. Yeah. And I never realized any of that stuff. I learned a lot about this water I learned a lot about water in general from getting involved with this company. And I
feel like the same here too.
They say this company, its motto is change your water, change your life. And that's exactly what it does. It changes your life in so many ways. You don't say change your water, change your job. Yeah. Change your water, change your house. Change your water, change your clothes. No, you literally change your life, and you change it because of all of the incredible information and the incredible people that you come in contact with when you decide to make this investment. And like I always tell people, Kong's water doesn't cost. Or I usually say, Kong doesn't cost, he pays. And he does pay. He's paid me in so many ways, between getting referral checks and not having to go to the dentist to get a tooth pulled that was killing me, to not having to take my big cat to, I have a 15-year-old cat that now he's 17 years old. And 2 years ago, I thought he was pretty much on his deathbed. He was 22 pounds. He was really lethargic. He wasn't going outside anymore, wasn't really doing anything anymore. He'd get up long enough to walk to his food bowl and eat, long enough to go over to his drink and get some drink, and long enough to go to his kitty box and pee and poo, and then he'd be back on the floor laying there doing nothing. And now, 2 years later, heck, today he just chased little Angel out the door today, out onto the porch. And so it's really cool seeing our 17-year-old kitty kind of come back. Now he's down to 17 pounds. He he got in a fight with one of the local strays and ended up with a big old giant abscess on his back, big old lump on his back that got all festered and infected, and all of his hair fell out. And all we did was utilize the 2.5 and the 11.5 water to get rid of it, and he's all back to normal. And I don't even know how much money that probably would have cost me if I'd have taken him into the vet. That probably would have been a grand or so out of our pocket. And so instead we were able to keep that, and he's doing just fine. And so people don't, that's another thing I'd like to have you expand upon just a little bit, and maybe give a little bit of your thought process, maybe a little bit more of your thought process, because so many people, when they look at this, all they see is $4,000 or $5,000, and they're just looking at the cost, and they're not looking at the value. And so what, maybe expand just a little bit further on where your thought process was in that, because like you say, most of the people, they don't look at that, till over the next 10 years, I'm going to save thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. They just think, oh my gosh, $4,000. That's absurd.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, also another thing too, even with the hand thing that we were talking about just about 5-10 minutes ago, if I had one of those creamers, right, there's no way I would have used the whole bottle. And what was that thing going to do? Sit in my closet for a couple of years or something. I mean, even though those creamer thing, those squeeze creamer things or whatever, they go for $5, $10, $15. I was probably only going to use like a couple of bucks from it. I probably would have used $3 of it. And then the rest of the money would have sat in that closet for a couple of years later or something, and then potentially expired,
And then it probably wouldn't have even done the trick anyway. And
true. That's
ended up using the whole thing and then going and getting more and different kind, a little more expensive. All of them do is continue making things worse. That's usually the way those kinds of things work. I know that my sweetie, she had some issues, some skin issues, and she was using that kind of stuff, and it wasn't helping anything. And now that she's started utilizing the beauty water a lot more extensively, that stuff has gone away. So that the different areas. What about some other areas where you've been able to find some serious value in your life as far as money that it actually saved you? You got any other examples of things that you used to spend money on that you don't anymore?
Well, the laundry detergent thing, at first, I didn't believe that the 11.5 could actually do the job for the laundry. And since my current residence, the washer machine, the tailpipe drains to one of those laundry sink bowls or whatever, right? And so I had a bunch. I usually never would wash my hockey jerseys all the time. And I'm saying to myself, I want to test this out. I want to see if this is legit. And so I did a load of hockey jerseys, right? And then I either used 4 to 8 cups of the strong alkaline water. So that's 4 cups is equal a quart or something like that, I think. And so I dumped in the 11.5 into the laundry. And of course, when you start your laundry, everything's all clear or whatever, right? And so when I went downstairs I think it was about 10, 15 minutes went by or whatever, where the washer machine would start pumping the water out to drain or whatever, right? When I went downstairs, I literally saw golden water, like human urine or whatever. And basically it was because my hockey jerseys collecting the sweat from me from all the years. That 11.5 water, legitimately removed out all my sweat stains from the past. I could not believe
it. I love that, and I do my laundry with it. I've been doing my laundry now since the very beginning. As soon as I found out that you could use it that way.
Yeah.
I've been doing that, and I use a couple of mason jars. I use a 32-ounce glass mason jar and a 16-ounce glass mason jar, and I fill them up at the same time with the
Right.
11.5 and the 2.5,
Yep.
and then I just go downstairs and I dump them into my washer. And
Yeah.
I actually, you know, this is kind of funny, and I don't mind saying it, whatever, because I think it's awesome. I think it says everything that needs to be said. You
Yeah.
know, I wear whitey tighties, and they, you know what happens to them.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what
Yeah.
happens to whitey tighties, and
Right.
boy, does it ever do a nice job of cleaning up those whitey tighties.
Hey, I mean, everybody has a preference, but the Kangen Water still did the job pretty much. So, yeah, I just could not believe it. And the funny thing was, even after the hockey jerseys were done being washed, and then I put them in the dryer to dry, I noticed a difference in the weight. Like the hockey jerseys felt lighter, all because that Kangen Water legitimately removed all the years of sweat into that jersey.
Yeah. And you know what else it does that I've noticed is I don't ever use dryer sheets anymore. I always used to have to use those little dryer sheets otherwise I'd have this pile of staticky, sticking together clothes. And
Yeah.
I haven't used dryer sheets in 2.5 years either. And I believe the reason why is because the water actually provides that negative electrical charge to the clothes.
Yeah.
And so when they're getting beat together like that, that ends up slowly taking that electrical charge out of them, but they don't end up sticking together. You don't have all this static electricity in your clothes. And so once again, there's another area where we don't need to spend money anymore.
Yeah.
And you know, my sweetie, she's stubborn. She was the last of 6 children, and her father, the most money he ever made in a year was $6,000 in a year. And he raised all of the kids on that much money. And so, as you can imagine, they went without a lot, and they were, you know, she was really poor growing up. And so she's become an incredible money miser and a thrifty. She's the thriftiest person I've ever met. Like, I'll give you an example of how thrifty my sweetie is. We have chickens, and we get chicken eggs, and she says every day you got to eat your chicken egg, you know. And so oftentimes she'll cut a chicken egg, a hard-boiled egg in half for me and have it sitting there, and I'll sprinkle my salt and pepper on it.
Yeah.
And then I'll eat those, and there's always some salt and pepper on the plate. And one day she was cooking or something, and I went to grab that plate and go wash it off and throw it in the dishwasher. And I dumped it in, and she goes, "Oh, I was going to put that salt and pepper on the food." You know, she was all worried about wasting that little teeny bit of salt and pepper. You know, I'm just wow, you know, I'm glad we didn't waste too much there, you know. But that's how my sweetie was able to save $20,000 in 1 year while she was still supporting herself and working. This was back before we met, you know. She's the most thrifty individual that I've ever known. And, you know, I told her, you go ahead, because she bought a long time ago, 2.5 years ago, she bought a whole bunch of laundry detergent that was on sale. And by golly, she's going to use it. No matter what, you know. And I'm like, you go ahead. You want to wash your clothes in that garbage, go ahead and do it. I'm not doing it. I don't want that stuff on me. I don't want it on my skin. I don't want it on my clothes. And I actually like the way my clothes are way better than back when I used to use laundry detergent and the smell of them and that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff actually makes me kind of sick now. And, you know, it's kind of like this, too. When it comes to bottled water, I actually, it kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies. Whenever I go to the grocery store and I see it, when I just see it, I see somebody buying it, I see the big piles of it in the grocery store, it gives me the heebie-jeebies. It's just like, ew, God, you know, how can anybody?
I feel the same way.
Like, I'm getting chills up my spine and goosebumps just by thinking about it right now, you know?
Yeah, like, even when I see the people, like, load up cases of it, I'm saying to myself, like, I feel like I want to throw up. Like, it just that sense of feeling of like drinking that ball water, and especially the room temperature of it and whatever. And it's like, ugh. And the funny thing is, like, we can see online, like, where they say, don't leave your plastic ball water in your vehicle on hot summer days because of all the what it could lead to and this and that and blah blah blah. And I'm saying to myself, I think the article should say, don't drink plastic ball water on any given day.
Yeah, it's something that I personally couldn't possibly do now. And beforehand, I used to, when I had my fossil quarry, we used to buy a bunch of bottled water to take up there for people to be able to drink and just give it away to them for free. And we never even thought about anything that it was sitting out in the sun, just sitting there basically melting in the 90-degree heat of the upper desert in the middle of the summer. Never even gave it a thought. And then after it was all said and done, when I took some of that water and did some pH testing and ORP testing on it, and I was just flabbergasted by how acidic it was and what an incredibly high ORP it had, a positive ORP. And so I realized, wow, all that time I was giving people poison to drink while they were out there in the quarry, you know. And so it's really a great eye-opening thing to learn this and to be able to share it with people. And it's awesome when people are actually open-minded enough to actually take a look instead of thinking that they know everything. And you know, I don't know about you. I'd imagine you're the same way that I am. Is it?
Yeah.
You know, if people don't want to look at Kangen water, I don't get mad about it or anything. What I do is I feel sorry for them.
No, I know, right? Absolutely.
I feel sorry and heartbroken for them. What about you? How do you feel when they won't look?
I mean, I just say to them, like, look, figure out your schedule. Whenever your availability is to take a look at it, whenever, figure your schedule out. Because I say to some people, like, even if they're not interested, they ask me questions and then they say they're not interested. I just say, that's totally fine and all. But if I happen to have time to talk with someone else who has interest, please do not distract me with your disinterest. Because I'm like, that's going to be considerably rude where you ask me the questions and I'm showing you how this works, you know. And I say it to anybody, like, theoretically, you know, if you want to create the wealth and prosperity, you know, popular known names of people that are at the high level, like, you know, Tony Robbins or Grant Cardone, Ed Milet. I could list a whole bunch more. Like, those kind of people are not going to show up to your door. And I've said to some of these people, don't expect me to show up to your door, you know, for nothing. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm focusing on attracting other people who have an interest in this product. And even how for America right now, you know, how the Enagic ionizer machine is a tax deductible. And what's so mind-bothering is I don't get how some people don't understand that the government is going to issue you a refund in the new year. You know, it's like, this is like a once in a lifetime, because you don't know if the government or Congress, if they change that American Job Act standard to be, if you happen to start a new business that's more than 10 or more than 20,000, then you can get your first refund of whatever. But the fact that it's, you know, your first refund is $5,000 because the startup cost, and then other things that's, you know, an expense that can be a write-off. I mean, that very first thing of getting that refund, that is a huge advantage for anybody to take.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I wrote 100% of the cost of my machine off as a business expense.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The other awesome side of that I don't know, I'm pretty sure a lot of the people understand this kind of thing, but I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't, and we never know who's going to be watching this as the days, weeks, months, and years go by. But all you got to do is go get business cards and start handing them out, start talking to people, and literally everything you do, everywhere you go, becomes a tax write-off. I mean, I went on a 6-day river trip into the middle of nowhere back in the spring, and I took all the water. I took a whole bunch of bags of water. I filled up big jugs with Kangen water. I took that all. I talked to the people that were on the trip. I did videos. I took pictures. I gave out cards and that kind of thing. And so the entire expense of that river trip was a tax write-off.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
you know, and so because it was a business expense, and you know, that's the thing. By getting involved with this company, this is just an awesome little tidbit of the value of this company, is
Oh,
that
absolutely.
literally everywhere we go, everything we do, every single person that we run into in this world
Yeah,
needs this water.
oh,
And
absolutely.
and because of that, that means that everything we do, everywhere we go, is a tax write-off. We can
Yeah,
write off everything we do. And so
yeah.
I literally write off everything that I do in my life. I went golfing yesterday. I'm going to write that off. I'm going golfing on Sunday. I'm going to write that off. I'm going to be writing all this off because I always have business cards with me. I always have my Kong hats and my Kong shirts on.
Yep.
I'm always sharing the business with people.
Yeah.
And if anything that you do towards trying to make income is a tax write-off, and that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to make income by helping people change their lives for the better. What a concept.
Yeah.
What a way to
Absolutely.
make money.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even the funny thing is too, with some people in society, I don't understand this. Like, some people think like making money is the root of evil, or having tax advantage opportunity is the root of evil. Like, some people get these things so mixed up badly. It's like, look, you're probably thinking about what the politicians are saying. They're only speaking for themselves. They're not speaking for people like me, you, or anybody else. And I'm saying to some of these people, like, you know, you may not have Jeff Bezos tax advantages, but to have the ability to have these tax advantages, you know, to join an adjunct, that's better than nothing. Like, you know.
Yeah, you know, we don't get too political around here, you know, but the truth of
Neither
the
do I.
matter is we may not be interested in politics, but politics is interested in us. But you know, the truth of the matter is anything you can do to help save yourself money is a good thing. Anything,
Absolutely.
whether it's tax advantages or saving money
Yeah.
or making money, and money is, you know, it's one of my big pet peeves is I can't stand hearing people say money is the root of all evil, because it's
Yeah.
not. The root of all
Exactly.
evil is the ability to create money out of nothing and then
Yeah.
force everybody to take it. Now that is the root of all evil, because being able to create money out of nothing, it's got a long tested, time tested name. It's called counterfeiting. And it's been illegal since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
And you know, it's even illegal here in the US, except for there's this one company, and it is a private company, and they get to counterfeit all the money they want. It's called the Federal Reserve Corporation. Now, right there, kids, that's the root of all evil. You want to learn about the root of all evil, go read the book Creature from Jekyll Island. And interestingly enough, the guy who wrote the book Creature from Jekyll Island is also the guy who wrote this book. And this book right here is the book that changed the course and direction of my life. And interestingly enough as well, the root of this book, where this book came from, is it came from the land of Hunza. Does that ring a bell to you?
I'm hearing a little bit about it, but I mean, I haven't read that book yet, but I have heard a little.
Well, the reason I mention that is because the root of that book right there is in the land of Hunza, which is it's in Pakistan at the base of the Himalayan mountains, and they have this incredible water that comes down off of those glaciers, and it comes down into their springs, and they drink this water. And the Russians and the Japanese scientists back in the 1950s, they went to the land of Hunza to study Kangen water, to learn about this electrolyzed water that was in nature. And so that's the thing, is the roots of Kangen water and the roots of World Without Cancer are in the exact same place. And when I learned that, I went, wow, man, that gave it all that bigger of a mindset for me, because I read this book 26 years ago. This is my copy. You can see how beat up it is. I read it 26 years ago, and it changed everything about my life. It changed the way I think about things, and it's a huge part of the reason why once I read Brittany's story, I had to learn about this water. And then later on, I found out how both of them have their roots in the same spot, and that really changed things again, and just gave me more and more and more excitement about the water because I found out just, just how important it is. In this book right here, he doesn't talk at all about the water. He doesn't even know anything about it.
Mm.
He's talking about apricot kernels and vitamin B17 and how in Hunza, that's their main staple food. That's their main income. Their income and their wealth in Hunza is based on how many apricot trees they have. The more apricot trees you have that have bitter kernels in them, the more money you're worth.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so it's a fascinating story, and I highly recommend that book. And I recommend this book here too as well, Killing Cancer.
I want to read that book.
He talks in here. He talks about the guy who wrote this book. He talks about this story in this book. And for somebody that wants to, kill cancer and not people, both of these books are very important reads for people to understand. Where this book, I think, sets itself aside from this book a little bit is the whole second half of the book is called The Politics of Cancer. Yeah. And it's an infuriating read, that part of it, because you find out just how much the United States government, and I say this all the time, cancer would not even exist were it not for the United States government. And after reading what I read about Royal Raymond Rife in this book, I am 100,000% convinced that indeed cancer would not exist at all were it not for the U.S. government and the Fraud and Death Administration. And so, that's as far as we're going to go as far as politics are concerned. Yeah. But I just encourage everybody to do their due diligence and do their own learning, do their own reading, and find out what's going on behind the scenes. Because, Royal Raymond Rife, he literally created a technology that not only destroys cancer cells, but every other living virus and bacteria that there is. And no, they weren't interested in it because it would put them all out of business. And you're talking billions of dollars down the drain if they let this guy's technology get out there. But thanks to people like Bob Wright, who's a big proponent of Kangen Water, just people like that are willing to not let the truth die. And so his technology is back out there again. It's available. The truth is out, man. You can't kill the truth, baby. You just can't do it. And so anyway, that's all some great, interesting discussion, and I sure appreciate you sharing it. And now I want to move on to my next question, which is always my favorite question of all, because it's always interesting the answers that I get to this question. I can't wait to hear yours.
All right.
You have somebody out there that you've got just a minute. You've got just a real quick opportunity to say one thing to them. You can only say one thing that's gonna like make or break whether they're gonna get involved with this company or not, or whether they're gonna actually take a look, whether they're going to allow themselves to look. What is it?
Oh man, this is a really tough one, I gotta say. Oh man, what to say? I mean, I feel like it would take more than just one sentence to say it, but since I can only say it in one sentence, oh man, this is a tough one.
I mean, the tough one, dude. You should have seen it. I had this mother and her daughter on, and they looked at each other, and they were looking at each other like this, and it was kind of like something out of Family Feud, where they were, they're going, what should we say? What should we say? What's the answer to this one? So what do you think? I mean, just think about it, take a second, whatever. What you got one thing you can say to somebody about this water. You only have like 30 seconds to say it. What is it? What do you say?
How would you like for water to value your time and in your future that could lead to something great, great health or great finances? I think that's really, I probably would put it to something like that. So
I like it.
I mean, I got to tell you, that was that was, I mean, of course, to say it in one sentence, I feel like that was so tough because I feel like it would take 5 to 10 sentences just to, tell someone within a 30-second to a minute of what to say.
Well, if you're ever curious to hear some of the responses of people,
I'll have to check it out.
pretty much all of the episodes of the show, when we're doing individuals that are coming in to just hear their story, like with yours, my first question is always how, when, and why did you get involved with Kangen Water, and were you a skeptic? And then, what kind of stories do you have to share? And then I always get into, this particular question. What would you say if you only had one thing you could say and you only had a short time to say it? What would you say? What would that one thing be? And it's really interesting, all the different things that the people have had to say over the time. I mean, I've had people say things like, just give it a try. Just as simple as that. Do yourself a favor, give it a try. And I had one guy who said, I set about trying to disprove this so that I could justify not buying it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do it. So I had to buy it. And, that he's an electrical engineer. His name's Robert Lento. He's got a really cool story to tell. You might want to look at his shows sometime. If you're sitting around, you want to just hear something and, learn some good things, because that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to bring value to people every day. And I know that for me, it was that incredible story that altered the course and direction of my life. It was right along the lines of how this book altered the course and direction of my life. I literally started thinking about life differently. I started thinking about doctors differently. I started thinking about the government differently. I started thinking about my health differently. I literally started thinking about every aspect of life differently from reading that book. And I have started doing the same thing from being involved with the Kangen Water family and learning all the different things, because, we're not only talking about our health as far as, our physical health, but we're also talking about our mental health and our financial health. And this company has really helped me in all three areas, not so much in the financial help yet, but that's coming. That I know just as well as you do. We all do. We all know that that's coming, as long as we don't quit, as long as we keep on keeping on, keep sharing the word, keep sharing the story, keep bringing value every day, that the money's going to come. But as far as the physical health and the mental health, it's been astronomical what it has done for my life in the last 2.5 years. And so I'm just trying like crazy to share that with others and try to get people who resonate with each other together, because one of the wonderful gifts about this internet is once we have it up there and it goes up, then it's out there, and you just never know who's gonna. You wouldn't believe how many people have been on this show who I ask them, how'd you find out about it? And they say, well, I was just kind of strolling around on the internet and I ran into this guy. I ran into this and blah, blah, blah. And that's how it works. And that's why we want to do what we're doing and sharing these stories of value and health and mentality and that kind of stuff is awesome. And one of my big goals, which is going to lead into this final question here for you. And really this last thing isn't a question. It's more a matter of just allowing you to say what you want to say. But my goal is to get people together who resonate with each other, because there might be some hockey player out there that he's a hockey player too. He gets on for some reason. He comes across this show. He listens to your testimony and he says, wow, I like that dude. I want to get a hold of him. And I want to work with him. I want to go play a little hockey with him. I want to get a Kangen water machine with him. I want to do business with him, and there might be somebody that happens with. We just simply never know. I know that when Brittany Dykes shared her story, she didn't know that it was going to change my life forever. And So this brings me to the last part of things, and that at the end of every show, I always like to allow the guests the opportunity to give everybody whatever information they want to give. How do people get a hold of you if they want to get a hold of you? If somebody's watching this and they want to hook up with Chris Nichols and they want to do business with him, they want to get together with him, how do they do it? And then before you answer that question, I want to throw in a little quick caveat for the person listening that's going to send a message on Facebook or somewhere like that to Chris. Please do him a favor. Tell him why. Don't just send him a friend request. Send him a friend request, then hit that little message button and say, hey, Chris, I ran into you on that crazy Kong family show or whatever it was, and you know, the things you said really resonated, and I want to hook up with you, man. And so I'm sending you a friend request. Just do him the common courtesy, telling him why you friended up with him. Don't just send him a friend request. And same thing if you're sending an Instagram or an email or calling him on the phone or whatever. I don't know what kind of information Chris wants to give out, but this is his chance right here to go ahead and give out all of his contact information that he wants to, and let everybody on the planet that gets to see this know how they can get a hold of this bad old Stone Beach.
All righty, thank you. Yes, there are multiple ways you can reach out to me. I mean, I use the Facebook still at Chris Nichols. Also, I'm very big with Instagram. I happen to post a lot on Instagram. My Instagram handler is Chris, and then B as in boy, N as in no, and then the number 5 on Instagram. Also, an email address you can reach out to me is chris@activewaterperformance.com. And also my phone number, 617-406-8741. But if I happen to not answer your phone call, you can leave me a message, or you can just shoot me a text message and just tell me, you know, who you are exactly and whatever. That's fine, because I will tell you, I get these weird soliciting calls, so I don't want to confuse someone from that, you know? So.
Yeah, that's exactly the thing, dude. That's why it drives me nuts when I get friend requests from people on Facebook and they don't tell me why, because there's a lot of scammers out there. I've actually gotten friend requests from people, and it turns out that it was a total scam.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know if you've had that happen, but I've had it happen probably a half dozen times in the time that I've been involved with Facebook. So I'm always really leery to friend up with people. Yeah. And in fact, I'll share something with you, and I'll share this with everybody, because this is my new method of madness when it comes to friend requests on Facebook. Somebody sends me a friend request. What I do is I go to their profile and I look at their profile. Yeah. And if I see that they're part of the Kong family because they've got that they're an Enagic distributor, or if I look at their friends and we've got, you know, a dozen fellow Enagic friends, then I pretty much assume that they're part of Enagic. If I look and see that they're sharing Enagic posts and that kind of thing, I know that they're part of Enagic. And so I have a pre-written response to them that says, hey, Bob, JJ Surprise here. Thanks for sending the friend request. Obviously, and I put obviously in all capitals, I say, obviously, if you're sending me a friend request, it's because you want to come on the Kong Family Show and you want to share some magic with the family. So here's our normal hours. And when you're ready to come on the show, just let me know. And this is the thing. I do not accept their friend request. I do not accept it. I send them that message, and then I wait to see what their reply is. And if they don't want to come on the Kong Family Show and share some magic with the family, then I don't have room for them as a friend on my list. Plain and simple. I only get 5,000 friends. That's not my choice. That's Zucker's choice, and so be it. But I simply have decided that I don't have room for people in my life anymore here on Facebook, or really, quite frankly, in my life in general. I don't have any room for people in my life that aren't interested in Kangen Water. If they're already in my life, so be it. I'm not going to boot them out because they're not interested. I'm just not going to spend time worrying about them. I'm going to just keep doing what I'm doing, because I got a laser-like focus on this company now. And I just
Absolutely.
simply don't have room. I don't need the distractions of people in my life. I
Yeah.
don't need their posts on my wall. I don't need their calls in my life if they're not interested in this water. So
Yeah.
that's what I do with people that I see that there's somebody that's a Kangen Water distributor. I say,
Yeah.
hey, you want to come on the show? Sweet. I'm always in need of guests. So come on
Yeah.
on. And then the other one is I get these people, a lot of people that are trying to shove their internet marketing business down my throat. Their Forex trading, their Bitcoin, their latest, greatest potion and lotion down my throat. And these people, as soon as you friend up with them, the first thing they do is they just start trying to shove their product down your throat without even trying to find out who you are, what you want, what you're looking for, anything. So this is what I do with those people. When I get their thing and I see that they're a Forex trader or something like that, I say, hey, George, or Connie, or whatever, hey, whatever your name is, JJ Surprise here. Thanks for the friend request. I say, obviously, if you're sending me a friend request, you're interested in getting involved with Kangen Water, the greatest company on the planet. Awesome decision. Here's what you're looking for. Here's the information to my Kangen Water page, which is my Anagic website that has the short video about the water. And then under that, I say about the water, here's where you go. And then about the business. And then I have this little snippet from David Sharp from a video that he did that's 13 minutes long that shows the marketing plan, shows how, or the compensation plan. And so that's what I do. I send them those two things. And then I say, when you're ready to get going and get going with the most important, most incredible company on the planet, get in touch. Yeah. And then I send them that. And I've actually had a few people now that have gotten interested, and it was my wife who came up with the idea, because I thought, you know what? Instead of allowing these people the opportunity to shove their product down my throat, I'm going to go ahead and shove my product down their throat right out of the chute.
I like that.
Putting up with them. And if they're not interested, hey, no problem. I'm not interested in you. I don't have time for people who don't have time for comments. And that's my thought process on it. And
I actually like what you brought up. I mean, I should probably start doing that too. I mean, the funny thing is, as much as I use Instagram more than Facebook, I notice like in some of my friend requests, I get these friend requests from these people who are social media agency people, whatever, and this and that. And I'm saying to myself, if you're looking for most of my content, I'm like, I don't know why you're not looking at my Instagram. And number two, I'm like, I'm not looking to buy followers or anything, because that doesn't enhance like engagements and or even your business to scale in general. Like that, the whole follower thing doesn't really have a meaning unless your account is really resourceful and you're doing all the good stuff. So it draws interest. That's just the key thing. So, I mean, it's just the internet has its weird things like what we were just talking about. So
you have a website called activewaterperformance.com.
Yeah, I just had the domain name switched to that, so I feel like that name should be up and running by now. So,
do you have that forwarding to like your EWS site where they learn about the water?
Yeah. The funny thing was that that domain name I got from the GoDaddy, and so I did the SSL thing or whatever for the conversion part. So that should be clear to go. I mean, I'll have to just double check again just to make sure. Hopefully I hit all the buttons right or whatever, because sometimes everything's always a process. And so
yeah, amen, brother. Yeah, so that's awesome. So you guys, now you know how to get a hold of Chris if you want to get a hold of him. And we're just grateful that people like Chris are willing to take time out of their busy schedule to come on here and share their stories, share some of their magic, because we just never know whose story is going to resonate with whose life this is going to change down the road. And Chris, if you wouldn't mind, any of your people that you run into, that you have on your team, whatever, that have great stories to tell. I'm always looking for guests. I always need content. Trying to do this 7 days a week has turned out to be quite a daunting task. And but I love it. I'm into it. I want to share this. I think it's the single most important thing that a human being can do for themselves. And I gain great value for myself out of doing this, and it's worth every second of my time, and I love it. And so my goal is to continue to share this for the rest of my days, as long as this platform is available, and try to bring as much value to the table in hopes that it will help everyone. Because one of the things I've recently learned about this marketing plan that I think is so incredible, over all the years I've been involved with network marketing, all the different companies I've been involved with over the years, this one by far is heads and shoulders above everything else. And I've literally never seen a marketing plan that gives us so much incentive to help everyone. Whether they are on our team or not, whether they are in our downline or not, it doesn't matter. We have every incentive in the world to help them. Because once you reach 682-3, you now get a piece of every single machine that is sold on this planet. And that gives you incentive right there from the beginning to work hard to get to that position, to help your people get to that position, and to help everybody sell machines. Everybody. And my thought process is I don't really care who you buy your machine from, just buy it. Get involved. Be part of the family. And the further along I get, the less worry I will have about where people buy their machine from, because like I said, once you reach that particular point in the company, it doesn't matter where somebody buys their machine from, you still get a piece.
Yeah, absolutely. And, also I feel like another important thing too is I'm always all about for someone to understand the hands-on use of the Enagic Kangen Water ionizer machine, because I kind of feel like a lot of people lack hands-on skills. And so I've had some people before, they're like, Chris, I feel like I'm afraid to install my machine to the faucet or whatever. And I simply said, you just got to allow time, and I will be able to teach you. And even if you're from a different state, with what we have right now with a Zoom call, FaceTime or whatever, I'm going to be able to virtually train you, even though you have to look at a screen. But I go over the fundamentals and the basics and understand about faucets, the hand tools, what to get, and, understand your gripness and the firm, what to do, what not to do. But it's just, if you just allow the time, you'll be able to understand things pretty well. And just, I kind of feel like with some people, they're afraid about that, but some just don't make the time. I mean, it's like, if you want to lose weight, then you need to make the time to put in the work. If you want to become great at snowboarding, you got to make the time for it,
Yeah. Amen. Yeah, that's exactly how we ended up meeting, because you took the time to put out a free video that anybody could see to teach people how to deep clean the K8, and that's how we ended up meeting. And so, just so you know, anything that you put together out there, if you want to, you can share it with the Family page.
Absolutely.
Simply going to the page and sharing it. I have it completely open. Anybody can post to it, because I'm trying to, if somebody puts something up there that's inappropriate, then I'll have to go get rid of it. But whatever, for the most part, I like to believe in the goodness of the people that are part of the Kong family, and that they're not going to be putting garbage up there that shouldn't be. But for you, any of the, like this latest thing that you're working on, if you want to share it with the family, we'd sure love to have it, because the more we can share good information, good value out there, the better off we are, buddy. The better off we all are. And, so I want to thank you once again, buddy, for taking your time to come and share with us. I love it. I appreciate your story. And if, as time goes by, if you come up with anything that you'd like to share, we're all ears. We want to hear, we want to share, and get the word out there. So love to have you back on again sometime if you're willing. And you have something you'd like to get out there, we want to help you get it out there. So thank you very much for all of your efforts and everything you're doing to help the family. We are the Kong family, brother, and we are here to change the world, baby. That's what we're doing. And it's so neat being part of such an incredible mission. And
absolutely,
so thank you once again for all your time and all your efforts and everything you're doing. And we're so blessed to have you in the family and blessed to have you on the show today. So
Yeah.
get out there,
Absolutely.
have the rest of a great day. Get out
Yeah.
there and change the world, starting with your own. And we'll see you the next time around. And of course, as usual, to everybody out there, do not forget your hugs. Do not forget your hugs and your woo-hoos. Love you guys so much. Get out there and change the world, starting with your own. Make it a great rest of the day. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for some more fun on the Kong Family Show. Thanks again, Chris. Make it a great one.
Thank you for having me. This was fun. I'm looking forward to doing this again.
Awesome. Yes. Love to have you anytime, man.
Yep.
Bye for now.
Right. Yep.
HooooDeeHoooooo. Woohoo.